Hi, my name is Gina. Welcome, or to those of you who have been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you joining me to hear what I'm up to with my knitting. So I have several projects to share with you today. I have a finished object, another finished object, but one that I'm not totally ready to do the rundown on yet because it is like literally just off the blocking mat. So, and then I have several works in progress, probably more works in progress than I need. So yeah, let's just jump right in. So I'm going to start with my feature of this episode, and that is my Ebba vest. Oh, I love it so much. So I'm going to cut in some pictures up there of me sort of modeling this like full out so that you can see it more easily, but I'll also like come up closer so you can see some of the details. So this is, let me see, before I lose my mouth on the screen here, this is the Ebba vest by Sari Nordlund. And I'll talk through the construction in just a second. So I'll come in close so that you can see the details. See the neck, the lace, like I think just looks so nice along the neckline here. How this is just reverse stockinette for the side panel. Hopefully I'm on screen since I can't see that at all. There's the other. Plant-based yarn is so unforgiving when you have to weave in your ends. Oh, I think it is super, super pretty. Okay, so, yeah, like I said, Sari Nordlund, Ebba vest. This one just dropped, this pattern just dropped in mid-May, I think. So I did not buy it right when it first came out, but I did decide I was definitely going to make it. And so as soon as my yarn arrived that I was planning to use for it, I did cast it. I did buy the pattern and cast it on. So let's see. I made the size 4, which is a 45.25 inch bust. The pattern recommends 4 to 5 inches of positive ease. So my upper bust is 40 inches. So I should have had 5.25 inches of positive ease. You know, overall, I wouldn't have that at my full bust because my full bust is larger than that 45 inches, so it would actually be negative ease, but I find, sorry for those of you who have been here before, but I find that it is better to use your upper bust measurement. If you are a busty person, you will get a better fit overall. So that is what I do. Just as a standard, I go by my upper bust measurement. So I should have had the recommended amount of positive ease for this. I don't think that I don't think that I came out with that much, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I think my yarn shrank. So, but I'm still happy with the fit. Like it's just not as, it's not as loose and boxy as it is in Sari's sample photos. But actually, like that's really fine with me because boxy is not a flattering look on me. I'm really curvy, and boxy construction just sort of like tints off of me and makes me look larger than I actually am. So I am fine with the curvier look that I have with this. And I think that the lace, you know, is fine with that. Yeah, so pretty happy overall with like how it looks. The only thing is that it came out a little bit shorter than what I would prefer. I'll stand up on my tiptoes and see if you can see. So it's not super short. Here's my belly button. And so it is like an inch and a half below my belly button. So it should be fine. I just would have preferred maybe like half an inch more, but there's no way that I can add length to this because I do not have. I have like literally like just a handful, you know, of yarn left, like maybe a few yards. So I'm not going to be able to add length to this, and it's fine. I can live with it. I think I should be even able to wear this to like work and stuff. Because you know, it's not one that is extremely cropped. So if I even raise my arms to, you know, just out straight, like where it would pull it up. So it should be okay. But just, yeah, would have preferred slightly longer. And in fact, I think it did seem slightly longer when I was making it, but again, the yarn shrank. I was expecting it to shrink lengthwise, but I think it also shrank widthwise a little bit as well. So anyway, so construction. This is a top-down construction. You start with stitches in the back. And then you know, so you start with some stitches and then you increase out to get to the full width of the back, and then you go knit down, and then you start increasing again for the armholes. And so you knit your back down, and then you, when you've gotten the back to the length specified, you come back up and you pick up stitches for the shoulder. So there are picked up stitches, they're kind of on the back here. Let's see if I can show you my seam. That's where I picked up stitches. And I really appreciated in the pattern. I think Sari does this in all of her patterns, at least all the ones that I have knitted, or at least knitted recently enough that I remember. She will tell you when you are setting up your back, she'll say, you know, place a locking stitch marker here, place a locking stitch marker here. And that just makes it super easy when you are coming back and picking up stitches for the front shoulders. You know exactly where you're supposed to pick up, where to start and end from. So really appreciate that little detail in her pattern instructions. So you pick up for one shoulder and knit that down, and you're increasing for the V-neck, and then eventually, well, I think you don't actually start the armholes till after you got them joined. But so at first you are increasing for the V-neck, and then you come to the other side and increase for the V-neck over there. And then once you've got your neck where it is going to be, then you join all the way across your front stitches, and then knit down, and then you start your increasing for the armhole shaping. And then once you get to the end of the armhole shaping, you join in the round and just knit down, and that's really easy, you know, once you get things in the round. Let's see. So a very typical mod that I need to make on garments is to add extra length in the yoke. And I assume that is probably, you know, it has to do with my bust. And so yeah, it is very common for me to have to add some length, and I have finally figured out, like, don't break my yarn in this type of construction, like on the back. Like, I knitted that up to the length specified in the pattern and then just left my yarn attached instead of breaking it, so that I could come back once I had gotten the fronts done and kind of see where things were hanging and decide if I needed to add some extra length. And I actually did not end up doing that. I felt like these armholes were deep enough as it was, and it's possible that they're actually supposed to be deeper, and that's why I was happy with the fit, because I actually do not really, like, I don't want, you know, I don't want my sleeve like up in my armpits, but I also don't want it low, and that's a problem that I have, like, with ready to wear. I assume lots of people have that issue where, you know, your, like, the sleeve, your armhole comes too long in a sleeveless top and like half of your bra is hanging out. And if I'm gonna be making my own garments, I would prefer for that not to happen. And yeah, so I'm really happy with this length. So it is far enough down. It is not bothering me at all, and it's nice and breezy, but I'm also like completely covered, and in fact have at least a half an inch of coverage, like clearance there above my bra, and I'm not getting any straps showage over there. This is a pretty wide, I mean, it is called a vest and not a tank, and so yeah, I would personally never wear this over something else, but I think it's super cute as it is for just like a summer tank thing. And I like that there's extra coverage. Like I said, I think this would look really cute for work. You know, I might wear a something underneath it since it is lacy, like a little tank, but you know, I think it's very work appropriate, not too much skin showing. We can dress, you know, fairly casually at my work, so like having bare arms is not a problem. Yeah, so I think it's super cute. I'm really happy with it. Was really happy not to have to go longer, which also it's probably really good that I didn't need to increase that yoke depth any, because otherwise I probably would have run out of yarn since like I said, literally a few yards left. Now did I say already the yarn that I'm using for this is Drops Belle. So that is Drops's cotton linen rayon, bamboo. Sorry, I should have looked. Something stretchier, viscose, that's what it is. Their blend, which I fell in love with when I was making my movement tee, which I talked about in my last video. So if you're interested in the movement tee, go look at that one. Really liked this yarn and thought it would be, as I was working on the movement tee, I thought it would work really well for this. And I was not wrong. And in fact, I think it might be one of the yarns that Sari Nordlund list as a recommended yarn for this pattern. So it worked really well. I think the Drop Spell has great drape. And it is not as hard on my hands as a 100% cotton would be, or linen. So yeah, really happy with the yarn choice. Just FYI, if you're making this, I would go ahead and get yourself, you know, extra yarn, which I remembered too late that is a pretty typical complaint for Sari Nordlund's patterns, is that they they often run a little short on yarn, or a lot short. I know that was the bookshop cardigan pattern that a lot of people were severely running short of yarn, and that was when people started talking about the fact that I guess when Sari tests patterns, she only requires testers to knit the yoke and one sleeve, and that maybe that's just not really enough, or maybe she just doesn't add in any, you know, the extra 10 or 20% that a lot of designers do. Maybe she's just trying to give you as this is as close to accurate as possible. So anyway, if you are somebody like me who likes to add a little extra length to your patterns, then you are definitely going to want to grab an extra ball of yarn if you're making this. If whatever you're using runs close to the pattern, because I got just enough to make this, and it was just barely enough. So yeah, it took, did I tell you 6 balls of Drop Spell, and this is in color number 3, Sad Beige. Not really sad, but it is actually beige. And so that came out to 775 yards for me, which is 708 meters. And if I didn't say already, I made the size 4, and I used a US size 4 needles, which is a 3.5 millimeters for the body. I always feel a little I'm not really sure if needle size is actually useful to anybody, because just because I use a size 4 does not mean that you're gonna use a size 4, because you need to use whatever needles get you gauged so that your garment will fit. But anyway, there it is. I use a size 4. And let's see, we already talked about construction. So I talked about last time, and actually it was fresher on my mind in my last video, as to all of the problems that I had with the hems and collars and stuff on this, but I had a really hard time. I was on the struggle bus getting things to look good for my sleeves. I think it was that I picked up per pattern and it was like super, super gapey. And so I like went back and didn't pick up per pattern. Anyway, you'll have to go back and watch the other video if you're interested in all of those details, because I like do not remember at this point, but I just know that one of these sleeve bands I ended up knitting 3 times before I finally got it how I wanted. And I remember the first time it was terrible. The second time I changed something so that it looked okay. Ish. It looked better. And then I did a bind off in it and the bind off looked bad. Like it looked worse once I got the bind off. And so like I changed bind offs. I was having all kinds of problems. I did the collar first. And I think I don't think it looks terrible now. Maybe blocking helped it a little bit. It's probably still not great, but I did I think she recommended the Italian sewn bind off. And so I did that. And I often struggle with that bind off anyway, like just getting my tensioning and my hand sewing right so that it looks okay. But the big issue with it was just that this yarn was so hard to pull through. It was like catching. And so, anytime your yarn is hard to sew with, it's going to make your tension even worse, especially if you already had tension problems to start with. So yeah, things were just, it looked bad. I don't remember if I had to redo the collar or not. I definitely didn't redo it after the bind off, because you just like can't pick that out. And if I was concerned that I was going to have to redo the whole thing because it looked really weird on the blocking mats. And if you look at my last video, like you could see it looked weird in the blocking mats. Like it was almost like V'ing up. Anyway, like creating a V with this, which I don't know if I just didn't pin it out well or what, but I think on the body, it looks, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you this, but I think it looks okay. I have some pictures, I think, that show the back without my hair on it, but honestly, like my hair is going to be down anyway. So even if it doesn't look fantastic in the back, nobody's ever going to see that. So all that to say, I will not be redoing this. Not least of the reason why is because like I don't have enough yarn to redo that bind off. So yeah, so I did Italian sewn cast off or bind off on the collar, on the arms. I ended up doing the Rook bind off, which is that one's sewn too. So you do sew it, but it's not as annoying as the Italian sewn bind off. Because I think you're coming in from the front every time. There's no like wiggling your yarn in and then going sort of back the other direction. And then I, on my hem, did the grandma's or Haya's grandma's stretchy bind off. Not sure if I can get that to focus there, but I think it turned out pretty cute. The Haya bind off is supposed to kind of imitate a sewn bind off without, or tubular, type bind off without actually like being as tricky. So you didn't have to sew it. That was nice. Because yeah, that's just like the sewing is so annoying, especially on like a large circumference where it's going to be, 45 inches around of bind off that I'm doing, if your yarn is not great, because like it's going to be catching and pulling and you're going to be doing that for so long all the way around. And this yarn does start looking kind of, the plies separate so easily and it starts looking really ratty. And yeah, anyway, I did not want to do that. And so I found somebody recommending the Haya grandma's stretchy bind off, and I think it worked well. It was still pretty fiddly. So it took me a long time to do that, but it was, because I wasn't having to drag the yarn through 45 inches worth, of stitches, it wasn't as bad. So I would definitely prefer that over a sewn bind off with frustrating yarn like this. Okay, so anything else that I want to say about that? yeah, I mentioned already, and I will just reiterate that I do, so this was my second time using this yarn, and I just finished my movement tee and have, you know, not washed it very many times. I washed it after I finished it, and then I've worn it several times since then, but I haven't washed it again. And so I don't know how it's going to behave like long term, but it, I think both of these garments shrank when I washed them. And I don't remember, I might have put this in the machine because this is machine washable. So I think I might have washed this on delicate. I did not dry it. You know, I pinned it out since it was lace. But yeah, I just washed it on delicate and then air dried it flat, and it did shrink. And I think my movement tee shrank because when I put on my movement tee, I was like, well, did I not knit this as long as I wanted to? But I, yeah, think that what happened is just that I lost some length. And I don't know if I'll gain that back because, you know, they say cotton stretches out as you wear it. So like maybe it will start shorter at the beginning of the day and then end up longer, and just do that every time I wear it. I don't know. So TBD, I did enjoy working with the yarn, and I definitely enjoy wearing it. It's nice and cool. Yeah, so I will still continue to use the drop spell, but I will be more like, probably I'm gonna just plan to add an extra inch, like look at it and see when it looks like it's the right length, and then add an extra inch on top of that, thinking, you know, planning for it to shrink. I know that you're supposed to swatch and wash your swatch and dry your swatch, and, you know, even put like clothespins on to see how it'll behave when it like stretches out. I'm just not that dedicated. I guess I would rather end up with garments that are slightly too short than to do all of that front work. I don't know what that says about me. Probably just that I'm really lazy, but it is what it is. So yeah. Oh, and I did want to mention that I love the little V-neck, like the lace, how it goes down the V. I just think it's so sweet. I could definitely see myself making another one of these, in another color. Yeah, really highly recommend the pattern. So I did a little cost calculation for you guys so that you could see like just how cheap, a garment is when you make it with this drop spell. So I used 6, balls of the drop spell. Those cost me $1.75 a piece on, I think this was from Rito. And so that comes out to $10.60. And then the pattern cost was $7.07 USD. So my total cost for materials comes out to $17.67. It's really a little bit more than that because I did have to pay $12 of shipping from Rito. But that included yarn for several different projects. So like maybe add $2 or $3 to that for my real total cost. But I think that is super reasonable for a really nice looking top that I would not be able to purchase in the store. All right, so my next finished object is behind me. I will do like a full breakdown on this one. I'll probably wear this in the next video, but I did just want to show it to you. Yeah, this one hasn't been on here at all because I started it, I think, after the last time I filmed. This is a test for Stephanie Lotven, who's the designer behind Tellybean Knits. This is her summer flow tank. And this one will be coming out sometime in July. I love Stephanie's patterns. Like, she's just does the cutest things. She loves color. All of her things are always super colorful and cute, and I love color. So I saw this one and I was like, yes, I definitely want to test that. I did the size 4, which is a 40-inch bust. Like I said, I'll go into all of the details next time, but just so you can kind of see what's coming. This was a size 4, and I used another drops yarn. So I used Garn Studio Drops Cotton Light. which is a 50-50 cotton poly blend. I don't think I ever said, this is DK. This is knitted in DK weight, and this is also knitted in DK weight. I just didn't think that like the texture, which is not a smooth texture of the drop spell, does not have a smooth texture. I just didn't think that was what I wanted for that tank. Like I was seeing sort of like cool, crisp, you know, kinds of a stripe situation for the summer flow tank. And so I decided to go with this cotton acrylic blend, and the jury's out. I have not worn this yet. I tried it on, but I haven't worn it. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about the polyester content in there, if that makes it like grosser to wear or not. But just trying it on, it seemed like it felt pretty nice. So we'll see. We'll see, you know, whether it actually like heats me up too much or whatever. But the cotton light is even cheaper than the drop spell. So it's like $1.15 a ball. So that one is going to be like pretty cheap. Anyway, so I'll talk about all of the details about that one next time, but yeah, it's this cute little striped tank, and let's see if I can pull this closer so you can see. It has this, it has a twisted panel detail here. And you see how that's different than the regular stitches, which the people on Reddit may lose their minds to see. Like they love to talk about people's twisted stitches on Craft Snark there, but these are intentionally twisted stitches, and I think I wasn't too sure. I'm like, why are we doing this when I started doing it on the pattern? I wasn't too sure about it, but I think actually is really cute, and it was fun to, like, it just gives you a little bit of variety when you are doing stockinette to come to these panels and twist those stitches. And I wonder also if it might help it like potential biasing that could happen in this seamless top, like might prevent that. I don't know. You know, this was cotton and polyester, so like I don't know how prone to biasing it would be, but if you were doing it with linen or something, I know linen is really prone to bias in seamless construction, so maybe those twisted panels would stop that because it creates a much firmer fabric on the sides. And yeah, so this is a little A-line top. It did not take long at all once I got started on it. It was very potato chippy due to the stripes. And yeah, so super, super cute. And really easy except for the the hem, and like the sleeves didn't give me any trouble on this one, I don't think, but like I had some collar pickup issues with this one, and I don't know if it's just like the plant-based thing, or Stephanie is making some changes, which is one of the reasons I love testing for her. I've been in some tests before where the designers were like almost a little offended when people were like, we're, you know, having some trouble with this. Are you sure this is the fit you're going for? And they almost seemed upset that you were pointing something out that wasn't like a clear, like a grammar error or like a miscount or something, where you were questioning like the fit or something. But, you know, some people were pointing out issues with the back, like the shoulder width. And Stephanie was like super receptive, and she's like, okay, before anybody else goes further, let me, you know, go back to my numbers and look at this. And, she sent out, you know, an update on the pattern and said, you know, if you're already past this, don't worry about it. But if you haven't, then you might want to use these new numbers for your back fit. And then she also like created like ways to modify this to fit your own body, as well, to help people, you know, just get a better fit. So I had already finished mine before any of those, or was like way past there when the modifications came out. And so mine is knitted to the original one. And so I don't know if what happened when I picked up my collar, it was flaring substantially. And so I went back and redid it, picking up fewer stitches, and it was still a little more flary than I wanted. And because I had plenty of yarn left from this one, because Stephanie's numbers were accurate, I ripped that out and redid it a third time with smaller needles and the reduced stitch count, and that brought my back in, cinched it in, and I think it looks good, but she's reduced, I think, that overall number of stitches in the back, so that might address that issue for people coming forward. And I'm sure that when this pattern like finally comes out, it is going to be perfect, because Stephanie's patterns always are. So I will talk more details about that next time. I'll give you my like color information for the yarns and stuff, but that's one to be looking out for if you are like me and love stripes. I do. I don't know. I know, I guess other people have other feelings about stripes, but I love stripes. And there are some people in the testing group who are doing it with not striped, like they're just skipping that and making it a plain tee. There are some people using variegated yarn, which looks really cool. The twisted stitch panels look really interesting when the variegation happens in there. So yeah, highly recommend that when it comes out. Okay, next, everyday attitude. So this one I have been plugging away at for a while, and it is getting close. So sorry I didn't do the like stitch marker thing to show you how much progress I had made, but it's getting closer. And it's gonna have to be getting closer because I only have this much of my my pink yarn left. So yeah, I will only be adding however many stripes I can do with that much yarn. And then there will be like a hemband to put on in the main color. So this is the Everyday Attitude by Susanne Sommer. I am using Berroco Remix Light, and I'm making the size 3. Yeah, so I will of course do a rundown on that once it is actually completed, which hopefully will be, you know, before the next time I record. Since, yeah, it's getting super close. I worked on that one, like this is my only mindless in the round stockinette project. So I did work on this. If you watched my last video, I said I was going out of town. I did work on this in the airport, you know, when I just didn't think I could concentrate on anything else. So it got a few stripes in cross-country flights. And then also on that trip, I made some progress on my Umbria, looking for by Cookie the Knitter. This is one that I don't think I have shown it on the last couple of podcasts just because there was very little progress made. You know, I think I'm showing you, yeah, I'm showing you the wrong side. So here it is, such as it is. It's a little raglan top, and I like the rows are long and tedious on this. I'm getting to that point where, you know, there's a lot of sleeve stitches on here. So it's like all getting close to having all of the stitches that it is going to have, which just means that it's really long and slow. So I did not think I could knit this one on the plain, but I did take it because I think I said last time, I always overpack when I am traveling. I always overpack on my knitting projects because like I am terrified of, you know, not wanting to knit a project that I have or running out, like finishing something. Anyway, so this, I did take this, and to take it, I had my favorite set of needles in here, which are my Knit Pro Mindfulness set. I really like those needles. And so I was like, I don't want a chance losing those somewhere, you know, like either losing a bag and losing them or getting them seized by TSA agents. And so I swapped out for my, I think these are just Knit Pro wooden needles. They might be Knit Pick needles, I'm not sure. Anyway, interchangeable needles. Love interchangeable needles because you can do this, just switch things out. And so I put these on just so that they would be safer and I wouldn't mind if something happened to them. But I think I actually enjoyed knitting on this more with these wooden needles than I was with my mindfulness needles. And I suspect it's because the yarn is really very slippery. And so yeah, I was probably just having an easier time keeping these on. So I think I'm gonna keep the wooden needles on, and then maybe I will want to keep working on this more. So made some good progress there, but still a long ways to go. I'm using, did I say this is by Cookie the Knitter, and I am using Hikoo CoBaSi, and I'm making the size large or 5. Okay, and then next up, we have my Stars Hollow Pullover, another one by Sari Nordlund, the Cable Queen, I feel like. Yeah, so I don't remember where I was last time, if I had knit to the bottom. I knit to the end of a ball, so this is not finished. Obviously the body, I just knit to the end of a ball of yarn, and then decided I'm gonna pick up and do at least one sleeve. I'll probably do both of them. So I started on sleeve number 1. So I just don't like to wait until the end to do sleeves, and I also did my collar earlier than called for in the pattern, because putting the sleeves and the collars on like makes a difference in how something hangs, how it fits, and then that like can change how long you want something. Because I've had something that I knit the body all the way, thought I was done, and then put all of those other pieces on, and it sort of pulled it up. So then my body was too short. So like to put those on ahead of time so that I can see how things hang. And of course, those of us who have been knitting for a while know that we don't have to do things in the order the pattern tells us to. It's one of the wonderful things about knitting. So yeah, I just do it whatever order I want. But yeah, nothing really to say there. Just, made a little bit of progress. This cute little cable coming down here. Let's see. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that to focus, but yeah, this is a much easier cable pattern than this one. I mean, this one isn't bad, but there are probably 10 rows in each of the, like, maybe, I'm not sure how many rows the whole chart is, maybe 30 rows, and there are like 10 or 15 rows of those where you're doing, quite a few things. So you've really got to pay attention and have that chart, at the ready to look at. But yeah, making good progress on that guy. And of course, I'm not wearing that anytime soon, so it is in no hurry. It's just when I feel like it. This one is being knit in Knit Picks and a Campo in the color Bear. I bought this in last year's summer sale, and Knit Picks is now in the summer sale this year. So if you haven't checked out and are not on their mailing list, I definitely recommend that. The summer sale is happening, and they had their 2-for-6 day on the first day of the sale, which was the 16th, and I did buy a few things. I have a really hard time resisting those really good deals. So yeah, I have a couple of sweater quantities that I am very excited about, and hopefully you'll see later as garments on here. Let's see, and then I sat my bottle on top of my project. I have my gift knit that I had mentioned that I was going to be working on. And so Rachel, if you are watching this, turn it off now if you want to be surprised. I have made progress on that. So this is a really fun Christmas cowl Yes, I know it is not Christmas, but my stepdaughter had said she wanted one of these cowls, and so I'm making this for her birthday, which is actually today, the day I'm filming this, so it will not be there in time, but she's not gonna need to wear this for a while. But this way she'll be able to wear it all the month of December if she wants to. So yeah, I haven't actually had this like been working in the round that long. This has still got at least 3 big chunks of color work left, and then also the there's like just a textured stitch for the edge. So I still probably have close to half of the work left to do on this, but yeah, when I was figuring how long it was going to take me, I did not remember to calculate in that I was going to be gone out of state for a little bit of time there, and so that's, you know, didn't get as far on that. Did not get that done and in the mail in time for her to get it for her birthday, sadly, but it'll be okay. And then I had kind of a surprise cast on. I mean, not totally a surprise. This was in my knitting plans, and this is probably not going to show up at all. This is the Sellwood Tee by Caitlyn Hunter. It's the start of it. It's a bottom up lacy tee, and so you can see I've got like 1 million stitches here, and I really hate bottom up construction because yeah, it's so hard to tell. Like when you're knitting something top down, you can see like, oh, this is looking really big, something is off with my gauge, or something's off with a pattern, or this yarn's just not going to work on this. I find that so hard to do with bottom up, and I know if you know your measurements and you've done everything right, like bottom up shouldn't be a problem. But I don't like to do all of that pre-work. Like I just want to be able to work on something and see if it's fitting, see, you know, oh, I'm going to need more length than this. And you really can't do that with a bottom up construction. So yeah, I know I'll have to knit this longer, like in the torso, than what is specified in the pattern, but it will be like a crapshoot, probably. It'll be a lot of me guessing as to how much extra length I need to add to it before starting like separating for the sleeves. So I'm using this Knit Picks Salvage yarn for this project. And I'm not sure, like the yarn is really interesting. This is not a slam against the yarn. I just don't know. I don't know how it's going to do in this project. I may end up ripping this out. I'm going to give it a little bit more length to see. Like it looked okay in my swatch, but it just seems so see-through and thin in the, you know, as I'm knitting it up. Like I will definitely have to wear some sort of a tank underneath this. Like there's not going to be, you know, I think any way to wear it otherwise. And this is labeled as a sport yarn, but I don't know if you can tell there, like it's really thin. You know, I always like roll my eyes at Spin Cycle's like sport weight yarn that I'm like, this is more like a fingering. I think this is even thinner than Spin Cycle, and it, since it's cotton, sorry, I didn't say that. It is 95% cotton, 5% other, no idea what the other is. But I don't expect it to like fluff up, you know, and fill in any space given that it is cotton. It is a little fuzzier maybe than cotton normally is, and that is because why this one is called Salvage is that it is made out of recycled cotton. So I couldn't find the percentage today when I was looking on Ravelry, but I know I read on Knit Picks that it's something like 60% 60 to like 79% of the cotton is recycled cotton, which I like that, you know, because I am always sort of thinking about like, how am I contributing to, or not contributing to sustainable efforts, you know, trying to like do my part to minimize my impact on the climate. And even though cotton is a natural fiber, and that's good, you know, it's not made from petrochemicals, it is still an extremely thirsty crop and can be really environmentally destructive itself in the production of it. And so like, I really like the idea of using this yarn. I just don't know, if this is going to be the right fit for it. And maybe I just need to find something that's actually meant for a fingering weight pattern for this. I don't know. If you have worked with this yarn, let me know. It is newer. I mean, it's been out several months now, but it is a like this year release by Knit Pick. So like, there's not a ton of information, not a ton of projects out there that I could find on Ravelry made with it. People really seem to like it. Those who have worked with it, there was a lot of people saying, oh, I'd love to use this again. I'm collecting more colors of this. So it has a really interesting kind of nubbly texture. I don't know if that's the recycled aspect of it. It does kind of remind me, I'm pointing down at the Berroco Light Remix, which is also, I would describe as very nubby, which that's also a recycled yarn. So maybe that's just how it feels. It may be like there are really short staples maybe in the recycled or reclaimed, you know, cotton. I don't know. I personally, I don't mind that. I don't think that sort of nubby texture looks good in every application. But you don't always want a smooth yarn in every application either. So like, I think that nubby texture looks fine in this, because like, I feel like it works with the garter stitch. Like you're not going to see that smoothness anyway because of the garter stitch. So yeah, I don't know. This one is still sort of to be determined. It is taking like just this little bit. I mean, I worked on several hours, you know, anytime you're doing, you're having to cast on 200 something stitches, it's always going to take a while. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. This is another reason I don't like the, bottom up. Cause it's like, you're starting with the absolute worst part, you know, where you have all of the stitches. It's like if you cast on, you know, a circular yoke when you've got like the arm stitches and the body stitches, like it's just very deflating for me personally. I don't mind working on something like once I'm going and I can see like the end is in sight, but like to start with the most stitches and then work my way to the easier parts, like I don't know, it just mentally like doesn't work for me. And also like fitting my physical body also often doesn't work for me. So this is why like that Darjeeling top that a lot of people are making this year and last year, like it is super cute. I would love to do that, but it's bottom up and I'm just like, nope, I'm just not gonna do it. There's a couple of other summer tops that I think are super cute, but I'm just like, no. I don't know if I just forgot that the Sellwood was bottom up or what the deal was, how I ended up with that one, but I did. But I might not keep working on that. I don't know. Okay, so that is the end of all of my works in progress. Sorry, there were so many. I did want to show you like one thing that I got that I'm excited about, and that is this book by Patty Lyons, the official workbook to go with her knitting bag of tricks. I hope that I will not do what I often do with knitting books, which is be like, I'm going to work through this. I'm going to do all the things. And then it just sits on my shelf and I don't do anything with it, because I really do think that this book will improve my knitting. Like she has this early section here on stitch mount and understanding yours. And I like that in the workbook, because she explains these things in the Knitting Bag of Tricks book, But in the workbook, she's like, okay, so like get out this yarn and swatch, you know, so many stitches and knit and stockinette, and then knit and, you know, another stitch pattern, another stitch pattern. And she tells you exactly what to do. And then she's like, now go through and do these measurements and like, what are the changes that you see? And so I think it will be helpful just in seeing like the specifics of my own knitting and how I can do things to improve. Like if you have issues with rowing out, I think that the exercises that I see her sort of walking you through in this very first section would be helpful in pinpointing what is going on, what's causing that for you, and and then she is also going to give you like suggestions on how to address those particular issues. I don't really have rowing out issues, so I'm not, you know, I don't expect to see anything interesting there, but I am interested in seeing like, why is my row gauge always off? Maybe like I can find out like what's going on with that. And then on Instagram, I noticed her, like she's doing these little like knit along kind of things working through the workbook, and she was doing one on yarn overs and lace. Okay, sorry, my kiddo interrupted me. So she was doing one explaining why in lace you sometimes get like a really big yarn over and then you'll have a smaller yarn over on the other side of something. And I'm like, yes, that happens to me. What is the answer? And so she like talked through it, and I was like, oh my goodness, I definitely got to work through this workbook because yeah, like that's what she was explaining. The stuff, like she was just walking you through some of the stuff that's in the workbook. So even if you don't have the workbook, I would definitely, you know, follow her and then watch those videos where she's talking about what's going on and explaining how to fix them. Because yeah, my yarn overs absolutely do not match, and I have wondered why, and I just thought that that's just something you have to live with, but it's not. There is a fix for it. So yeah, so hopefully I will be good and take, you know, this opportunity that I have right now while I am not in school, not having to work, to actually like work through some of these things. And she has like, you know, spots where she's like, now write down like what happened, write down your measurements, like write down your observations, so that you don't just do the things, but you actually, you know, figure out and understand what's going on. Yeah, so before my kids come back again and interrupt me, I will go ahead and sign off. We're about to, probably the reason that he's looking for me is we are about to head out to my mother's house for a couple of days, and then I don't know if I'll be back on next week or be able to make a video next week. My oldest son is having eye surgery. He has what do you call it? Disease problem. He has an eye issue called keratoconus, and has to undergo a very painful procedure next week. He had his first eye done in the fall, and we were not expecting how awful it would be, how just incredibly painful. Basically, like they scrape off your entire cornea. So if you've ever had like scratched your cornea and know what that feels like, imagine if the entire cornea is gone, like it has been scratched off. And so we didn't realize how bad it was going to be. So I don't know this time. I'm really nervous, but I don't know if it's going to be easier or worse now that we know what to expect. But hopefully it'll be good, because at least now I know that he just has to have round the clock, you know, pain medication, and I've got to set my alarm to wake up during the night to, you know, make sure that he's getting something new every 2 hours, so that we can stay on top of the pain. But anyway, so I expect to be quite distracted next week, and probably need to get myself a nice, easy stockinette pattern to be able to work on when all of that starts. But yeah, so I would love it if you would leave me a comment and let me know what you're working on. Are you still working on summer knits? Have you moved on? Obviously, I have not, since I've got this one done and several more in the works. But I am really needing to pick out yarn and get started on a pullover test knit that I have, and I don't know. I've got to say I am starting to kind of think about fall and winter knitting, especially because one of the sweater quantities that I got is so pretty. It's if you know Knit Picks, it's provincial tweed, which I really like. Very soft, cuddly yarn. Provincial tweed and candy apple, which is this beautiful, I think it's a like bluish red. I saw somebody saying that they thought it leaned orange. I don't know. To me, I think it's a cooler red with tweedy bits, and it's super pretty, and I will be making a fall cardigan with it. So yeah, really, I don't know. I'm gonna have to keep myself from getting distracted by fall things because I need to finish up, obviously, lots of summer projects. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your knitting time. Hope to see you again.